Okay, I'm making this video for YouTube, so I hope it's helpful. I'm just trying to help other people, give them ideas. I know I've watched a lot of YouTube videos over the years, trying to figure out ideas about rabbits and what I can do. And with everything going on in the world, today's September 12th, so 2021. With everything going on right now, my rabbits, I breed them for food and food storage, but I mean, they're pets. I got some pets, I got food storage, but with everything going on in the world, everybody's trying to look at different ways to be self-sustaining and provide for their families and friends. So, and I raise rabbits. It's just one of the main things I do. I do chickens, cows, horses, but rabbits are really nice sustaining animals. They're easy to breed, easy to take care of. They're really easy animals to utilize for meat, and you can breed them during the winter time. So when food is really scarce during the winter time, you can breed them through the winter. But this first video that I'm going to do, I'm just getting on YouTube, just starting to post videos. So my first video I'm going to do about cages and what I like and what I dislike about the cages that I've made, because it seems like just when I put one together or make one, then I come up with a better way on how to do them or what to do. So I'll just kind of go over my likes and dislikes on my cages that I've got, and I'll try to get some different videos of those cages as well. So we'll start out with my stacker cages. Don't judge me on the cleanliness. I mean, I don't have all the time in the world to clean these things, so but they're fairly clean. I mean, the rabbits are out of their poop and stuff, but if you can see here, I'll back up. So I've got a 3-tier stack cage. So on the bottom of these bottom cages, I've got these. I get them from Home Depot or Lowe's. They're cement mixing trays. They catch all the poop, or for the most part catch all the poop in them, so they make cleanup really, really nice. And then I've made these cages out of 2-inch by 2-inch hold wire. It doesn't work so well for babies, but like I have all my bucks in these cages, so my bucks are in these 2-inch by 2-inch holes wire cages, so it works really well for them. I've put this little hole right here in the middle for hay. Back when I was feeding hay, it worked really great. I've moved to hay cubes now, but that's a video for another day. But I put this feeder here for hay, and then this feeder on the front was for hay. I added this later, so like this one here doesn't have a hay feeder in it in the middle, and it just had hay feeders on the front, so I could feed them through the front and they could eat the hay out of the front. When I don't want to put bucks in these 2-inch hold wire cages, I wrapped them with chicken wire so I could have babies and stuff in there. And then for like the doors, I got the 1 by 2 inch wire, and then I cut some holes in the front for the hay feeder for when I have babies. And then I just have these little spring latches that you can get off Amazon, eBay, wherever. Makes them really nice. But yeah, I mean, if you live in Utah, I'm from Utah, and if you live in Utah, there's a guy that welds this 2-inch wire together. It's 11 gauge wire, 2-inch hole wire. You can use it for horse fencing, cow fencing, chicken fencing. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It comes in 4 foot wide, and you can have it cut to any length. But I just basically cut it down and bend it myself and make these cages out of it. I'm not going to do a tutorial on how to do it. I mean, there's tons of videos on how to make rabbit cages out there. I'm just going over what I like about these cages, what I don't like. What I do like about them is they're very, very sturdy. The only thing I don't like about these 3-tier stacker cages is I wish I only would have done 2. So I've got 1, 2, 3 cages. I wish I only would have done 2 cages, so then I could have spaced them more apart. But I've got this turf roofing. When I say more spaces, I've got this space here, which I've only got about 5 to 6 inches, just depends, because I've got it closer here, so then it runs down. Everything runs off the end, because you don't want standing urine. If you just have urine just like standing there, like just sitting there, that's where most of your problems come from. So you want the urine to flow off, and so I've got this turf roofing that I've put on here. It was like $22 or $23 a sheet when I bought it. I don't know what it is now. I got it from Lowe's or Home Depot. but it comes in, it's 26 inches wide, and I made my spacing underneath these cages 41 inches, so I had to use 2 of them. I would just cut one in half, so you can see here I've got 2 of them here, and I would just cut one in half, so then I could use one full sheet for the back, and then I would cut the front one in half, and then I would use it on the bottom section. So I needed 3 sheets for these 3 steer tactor cages, and then I would do the cement mixing trays on the bottom. But yeah, I mean, they worked really great. I really like these cages. I really like that they're very sturdy and stiff. I just did 2x4s on the sides, on the edge, and then I just did these, I think they're 1 inch by like 1.5 inches for just support. But I mean, the 2x4, I've got a 3-inch board up here just for more support. But yeah, it's just like the 2x4s, and then I just ran wire, so the cages are just wired on. So up here you can see I've just tied them on with wire just in the corners, just the 4 corners, because the cages are made out of this 11 gauge wire, so they're super sturdy, so I didn't have to do a lot of support with them. So yeah, I mean, the only thing I don't like about these ones is just they're too close together. So if I let them go a long ways, like the rabbit poop starts building up in them, I mean, you can kind of see that this is about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks worth of just letting it go that I haven't got to them and cleaned them. But you can see here, like you see this pile of hay and stuff in there, that's the rabbit cubes. That's what's left. That's how much they waste in there, which is near nothing compared to hay. That's why I don't feed hay anymore. But my rabbits really like the hay cubes. But yeah, this is what I like about these cages. We'll move on to the next ones. These are my next set of cages. I actually bought these from like Tractor Supply, IFA. I made these ones. I ordered the wire and just made this one here, but this bottom cage here, I just bought from IFA or Tractor Supply if I remember right. So it's just your standard inch hole by 2 inches. It's perfect for babies or any smaller rabbits so they can't get out. That other cage that I have that's 2 inches, I can only put bigger rabbits in that stuff. I make lawn tractors out of them. I'll try to show you a few of those maybe in another video, I'm not sure. But I make lawn tractors out of that bigger wire too, not just rabbit cages. But this, I ordered this stuff off Amazon. You can get it off eBay offline, but I ordered this stuff offline. It's just inch hole wiring. It worked really well. It's not super sturdy wire, but I mean, it worked great for building the rabbit cage. And I build all my rabbit cages, so they're 30 inches deep by 3 feet by 16 or 18 inches, just depends. I do like my 18-inch tall cages versus my 16-inch tall cages. These are pre-made. This one here and the bottom one, they're 16-inch tall, so I made this one 16-inch tall. But then all I did was just stack a 2x4 on the end, and I put a spacer here so then I could get the tray out. So then I have a gap right here so I can get my tray out, so when I slide it out, so all I'm into it is just 4 2x4s and then the cages, and all I did was just wire it here in the corners of the cages and wire it down here just to hold it in, so the cages support everything. So I've just got the 4 corners just wired up with the cages, and then everything's right here. And I've got my cement mixing tray on the bottom, and on my cement mixing trays on the bottom, you don't want the urine to pile up. So I've drilled holes. I mean, I've probably got 50 to plus holes in the bottom of this mixing tray. I just got like, I think it's 1/4 inch drill bit, and I drilled down through them. And it makes it really easy if you just stack them all, like if you just leave them all stacked together, like if you get a bunch of them, you just leave them stacked together and you just drill down through all of them all at the same time. So I mean, it only took me like 2 or 3 minutes to drill all these holes in all of them because I had them all stacked together. But these cement mixing trays make it really easy because you can pull them out and clean everything on the bottom row, so that does make it nice. And then on these, I did buy these trays with the cages when I bought them. The cages when I bought them were like $45. The the poop catching trays were around $30 when I bought them. I'm not sure. I haven't bought this stuff in a while. I mean, it's been several years since I bought this stuff, so I don't know what it is now. But yeah, I really do like these cages. They're not bad cages. They're really nice. I did make this a triple stacker cage as well, and I learned my lesson from my other cages, so I gave myself more space. So this one, you see, I've got way more space. I've got about 12 inches. I've got about a foot in between each cage. So if I get busy doing stuff, then it allows the rabbit poop, so then the rabbits are further away from their poop and stuff and their urine. The main thing is you want a lot of space in between your rabbits, because urine, the formaldehyde, and not formaldehyde, the gas that comes off of urine, if your rabbits are just constantly around that smell, it will make them sick. It gives them all kinds of diseases. So if you want healthy rabbits, they need to be able to get away from that urine smell. Like this guy here, like, I mean, he's got poop underneath of him, but there's a good foot underneath of him. These other cages here next to it are kind of the same thing, but they're not. Like, this is a triple stack cage. I've just got these. These are just kind of like side by sides. There's nothing underneath them except these cement mixing trays. But you can see here, they're just your standard, just cages you can get from Tractor Supply. I built them, so I've got a tin roof on top, and then I put a sheet of plywood underneath the tin to support the tin, and then 2x4 supports in the corner and in the middle of the cages, and then I did PVC pipe on the bottom to support the cage, because the thing with like wood cages is I've gone away from wood cages, because if the rabbit pisses on the urine or pisses on the wood soaks it up, and then the wood retains that urine smell, and it can be really deadly for your rabbits, and the wood can actually get your rabbits set. So when I made these, I've made it so there's a gap all the way around the wood and then in the back so that the urine can't get. And then like on these cages, I've got the pee guards in the back so they can't piss on the wood back there. So they just kind of keeps it protected. And I've got the side opened up right now for my fan. I got my fan put there, but normally I've got a piece of wood that I can encase it here and then encase on the other side down here. So I've got a piece of wood that I can put over here. Oh, sorry, that's a bad picture. I've got a piece of wood that I can put over here. Well, it's just sitting right here on the ground. That way there's 3 sides caged in, so that breaks up the wind. So I love these cages for nesting when I'm doing rabbits that are nesting, but during the summertime, I take the pieces of woods off the side so that I can get a breeze through here, and I just set a fan in here and it blows through. My rabbits are off the ground. I mean, you can see here I've got like 3.5 feet between my cage and the bottom. My rabbits do really, really well in these cages. I don't have any problems with these cages really. I mean, all around they're just really good. The only thing, I guess, downside, I'm trying to do a positive and negative on every cage, but I guess the only negative with these cages is that you can only have like, so I've only got 2 cages, so it's 8 feet long by 4 feet, so it takes up a lot of space. So I have, in an 8-foot space by 4-foot space, I have 2 cages, where this cage here, I have 3 cages in the space of where I have like one of these cages. So there's the benefits. So if you're looking for like really healthy cages, I mean, this isn't a bad setup here. I've got them evenly spaced, but I mean, that top cage is really, really high. I guess that would be a negative on that cage up there. It's really, really high. I mean, the top of my head is like right here on this cage. So I mean, my eyes are like level with the bottom of this top cage here. But I mean, I just get a chair and I get up there. I mean, when I'm feeding them, I can still reach the feeder here and still reach the water dish right here, so it makes it really, really nice. But if I have to get in there and get the rabbits, then I have to put a chair down here on the ground just so I can get up to it. But other than that, it's not bad. These ones are really nice. I really like these setups, but they do take up a lot of space. So if you're looking for like quantity versus quality, these aren't the cages you're looking for. Those stacker cages that I first showed you, those are really, really nice. I've got 48 rabbits in the space. It's 16 feet by 20 feet. So I've got 48 cages in a 16 by 20 foot area. So it's not bad. But if I was cleaning them off more, I'd like them. That turf roofing stuff was really nice. It's water resistant, so the urine just rolls right off of it. This, like I said, I got these cement mixing trays to catch all the poop and everything underneath. I don't have to clean these out as often just because the rabbits are far enough away, and I've got holes drilled in the bottom of these, so it's not too bad. Okay, moving on to the next one. I'll just show you this really quick. So these cages here, I've added on while I'm thinking about it. Originally, this is the original leg right here, and then I added on another few inches because that metal roofing was like right where my eyes are at. I didn't think about that, so do think about that. Measure these to their height. So I did have to add a little bit to this leg, so it's a little bit higher. These ones here I haven't added on, and so this metal's like right even with my eyeballs right now, so it's kind of dangerous. If I'm feeding in the dark, I can cut my eyes open or catch it on my face. These cages, oh, I got the sun shining right in my face. These cages are just your standard triple stack. That's where I got the idea for those cages over there, or from these cages here. They're just metal siding, real simple cages. You can get these from like pretty much anywhere online, Tractor Supply, but they're just real simple cages. I've added my own little feeder box on the side, and then I added this little wood piece here on the front and a wood piece on the top just to kind of weather protect them for my does, because when you're breeding rabbits you don't want wind and you don't want stuff coming in and getting them. I hope I'm not going too fast so you guys can kind of see. I'm trying to remember to give the dimensions of each cage, but I'm just trying to go over like my likes and dislikes. But I put this wood slat here so it protects all the feeders from wind, and then it just kind of covers this corner so it protects the does and the babies from wind, because wind is what kills your babies. The cold breeze when it comes in and kills all your babies, or one of the things that kills your babies. I mean, there's lots of things that can kill your babies, but here's another cage. I bought this cage. You just assemble it. I've had this cage for years and years. I've raised pet rabbits. I've had a pet rabbit for years, you know, since I was a young kid. So I've had this cage forever, and I've just slowly upgraded it. Like, I added this piece of tin on the top to kind of cover it better, so it's just more protected. And then on the bottom, I just have right here, I don't have it in there, but I just have a tray that I put in here to catch everything. And I added this piece here later so I could put a cage underneath. And the cage underneath is just one of my cages. It's just the 2-inch hole wiring. So it's the 2-inch hole wiring here on the front. And I just use these for bucks. And on the bottom, I have the 1 by 1/2 inch wire. I like that. I've done the 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch wire on the bottom, and I've got another cage I can show you that has that on it. And I don't like that 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch wire on the bottom, just because it can cause a lot of problems with poop piling up. And that's one thing you don't want, is you don't want your poop piling up, because you don't want your rabbit like standing in its own poop. Like, that's just where you get all kinds of diseases and problems. So, but I really do like this 1/2 inch. I did try the 1 by 1 stuff, but that was really bad for babies. So don't do that. But yeah, this 1/2 inch by 1 stuff works out really well for babies. And then what I'll try to do is wrap it here on the front, so just kind of like a baby guard. Okay, moving on to the next cage. Okay, I don't use this cage much, but just when I'm in a pinch I use it. It was really good when I first made it, back when I was first getting into rabbits. It was really nice. But I'll try to back up so you can kind of see the whole thing here. But it's 2 feet wide by 8 feet long. So it's 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide by 8 feet long. And on this cage I did do this 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch wire. But what I don't like is, like, over here in the corner where the rabbits piss everywhere, they've pissed in that corner, and the wood just kind of stains it up and just kind of retains it. So, and if sorry, if I had rabbits in here and then I pulled them out and had to put other rabbits in here, I'll usually try to clean that corner with bleach or something and just kind of clean it up real good so they don't spread diseases from one rabbit to another. The main thing is you want to keep your rabbits away from their poop, but especially you want their urine to be as far away from possible, and you don't want the urine to pile up, because that's where a lot of rabbit diseases come from, is from the urine. My rabbits are outside, so the ventilation's fine, but if you have your rabbits like in a barn or things like that, you're going to want to put a fan on them to keep them ventilated, because urine and this, I can't think, I'm having a brain fart, but I can't think of what that is. It's what, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to sit here and think about it. But the smell that comes off of urine. Yeah, but yeah, it's just this 1/2 inch wire stuff. I've added in my buckets. I'll try to do a video later on about my automatic watering system, but this is my bucket from my automatic watering system. But it just feeds this. I've got a nipple here that I've taken off, so it's just right here. But and then on the front of this, I've added in this 2-inch hole wiring for my hay feeder box here that I put on the front. But then I covered the whole thing with tin. Covered the whole thing with tin. I just got these handles on the front so I can lift it up. But like I said, it's a really nice cage. It's wood, and I really went away from wood because wood causes me a lot of problems with diseases with rabbits. They get a lot sicker. It's harder to keep your rabbits cleaner in wood just because they piss and the wood soaks everything up, or they crap on the wood and it soaks everything up. So I've kind of got away from wood cages, but I still have a few of my old wood cages. Like, I really like this cage. It was a really good breeder, so if I have a really good doe or she's having a hard time, I can put her in here. This is a really good breeder cage as long as I clean it out. All right, now the next cage. So this cage, I put a lot of thought into and a lot of time into it, and I planned on doing a few things different on it, but then when I was sticking it together, I didn't even think about it. Like, one of the things I planned on doing was my nesting box here. So I've got my standard cage here. It's 3 feet across and 30 inches deep, and then I added a nesting box on the end of it here. So it's got a nesting box on the end of it here. The bottom I made out of wood. I wasn't thinking I was going to do wiring, but I was in a hurry to get these up because I needed them at the time when I was putting them together. So I built the bottom out of wood, but it's just nailed to the bottom of this 2x4. So when I get done with the wood, I'll just hammer it with a nail and bust it out, and then put wire on the bottom of my nesting box in here. But I built these nesting boxes down each side of the cage. The only one thing I did on this cage I don't like is the bottom cage. I didn't give myself very much space. I needed to space it out more. But my nesting box here, when I planned on building this wire, see how I've got the nesting box like lifted up above the cage? You can see the nesting box. What I should have done is had this lip right here of the nesting box down here, because then that means there's a 2-inch gap, so the rabbits can just come right here from the cage and go in and fall back into the nesting box. But if they're trying to get out of the nesting box, they have to jump this 2 inches to get into the wire cage, because the problem is the babies would come from the nesting box into here and fall down in here, and then they can't get back in the nesting box, because I've got like 2 inches right here. So I needed to do this the other way. I needed this lip to be down here at the bottom of the cage, so they could get, if they got out of the nesting box, then they could easily get back in the nesting box. And I've got it the other way, so now it's really easy to get out of the nesting box, but it's hard to get back in it. But I don't lose. I've only lost a couple of rabbits, so it's not too horrible. It's just one day. I don't know if I'll ever try to fix that, because I've stapled that all the way down that one side and up the top, so I don't know if I ever want to pull it apart or not. On this one, I kind of experimented a little bit. I did use my turf roofing stuff again, and I've spaced it. So from that 2x4 up to this one here, it's 41 inches. So you can see here, I've got about a 4.5 to 5 inch gap in the front, and just about 3 inches in the back, just so the rabbit is away from the wood, just so it can't do anything on the wood. And then I cut here in the middle, I put hay feeders here in the middle so I could stuff hay in, and then the rabbit can get them from both sides here. And then of course my feeders, water dishes, all that. On this bottom cage, I got this tin stuff here. I got it from a roofing company, and it comes in 10 feet by 4 feet wide. And all I did was just bend the ends on. You can see the lip back there that I put. And then here in the front, I cut a little hole. So I've got it angled down, and so everything runs down here to the middle, and then everything drains out here to the front. And I really like this tin. It's just when I bought it, it was $77. I think it's gone up now. I went to go get some more of it a couple weeks ago, and it was like $110. And I was like, so I haven't bought any more of it. But I've bought a few of these panels, and I've got another cage that has some on it, and I'll show you that one just in a minute. But on this cage, I've got 6 cages. So the overall length, so I've got 3 nesting boxes there, 3 cages, and then 3 nesting boxes. And the whole thing is 9 feet in length by like 41 inches deep. And then on the top, I've covered it with tin, so I just built a temporary tin roof. But you can see there, I've got space in between for heating, so my tin, if it absorbs any heat, it doesn't heat up the top of my rabbits. And I can have my rabbits in these cages year round, no problem. I've got plenty of shade. I've got this what do they call it, these privacy fencing things. It's like made out of that Durlap sack stuff, but this is just a fencing thing. You can see here on the bottom how it's got the little eye lip, and it was just for fencing, so it's just 6 feet tall. and it comes in like 50 to 100 foot lengths, and all I do is just cut it the lengths I need it, and I can drape it. So I've got it draped on this edge here, so it just kind of protects my rabbits from the heat and stuff, and they do really, really well in these cages. Just I messed up on my nesting boxes. These cages, I really, really do like them. Just how they're set up. I made the cages so the doors are out an inch and a half because I ran out of the inch wire, so I had to do the 1.5 inches on the door, the inch by 2 inches on the door, and then the wire is made out of inch wire on the cages because I ran out of the inch wire for the doors, so I had to go get more wire to finish the doors. But I didn't think about support because all this rabbit's maneuver is going support off this cage. So like this middle cage here, you can see how it's kind of like, you can see how it's bent and it's just kind of squatted. So here in my door, I've got this big thing because I've got all the weight coming off this middle piece right here, because I've got this piece of wood in here, and this piece of wood just comes out so I can flip it and pull it out. It just gives my turf roofing angle to it, so all the urine and stuff drains out the end. But I made it so it would come out, so if I need to flatten it out, and it's really slick to clean this stuff, I just get a broom and I just sweep it, or I'll use a shovel, like a spaded shovel or flat-headed shovel. I can just grab it with a shovel. But I've got a broom that I've made. Sorry, I didn't mean to pause it. I've got a broom really quick. I'll try to find it really quick and show you what I'm talking about. It was really easy to make it. Just a real quick random thought. So here's my broom. So it's just your standard broom, and then the handle, and then all I did was just go get these tie downs. I can't think of what they're called. And I just strapped them on each end. So then my broom looks like this. So I've got a standard broom that just has a big old long handle that I can stick in there and just broom all that stuff out to the end, and I just catch it in a bucket or a tote. I've just got my tote right here that I just catch everything in, and it makes it cleaning up really easy. Really, really easy. Again, the only thing I don't like about this cage is on the bottom. I didn't give myself very much space, so I don't use the bottom cages very often, just because I can't put, I get those cement mixing trays, and I didn't give myself enough room to put the cement mixing trays on the bottom. So the bottom's just bare dirt, and so it's a lot of work to pull all that out and clean it. And so I hardly ever use the bottom 2 cages on this, so it's usually just the top 4 cages. But if I'm in a pinch, I can throw a rabbit down there in the bottom and clean it out really quick. And then the nesting boxes is the other thing. I just messed up on those. I put them too high, but they still work just fine. Because on the inside, holy cow, girl, you're crapping all over in your nesting box. Oh, and you are too. It's like, man, I got some new does in here. But here on the nesting box, I've got about 2 inches right here. That's a 2x3, 2x4, so it's 2 inches right there. So they've got to hop out 2 inches, which isn't bad. But yeah, that's just what I like. I did a 2x4 here and the 2x4 on the other end, and then I just built me a simple hinge system door for the front, so that my rabbit can have a nice nesting box in here. And this is a huge nesting box. I mean, it's like 3 feet deep. No, it'd be 30 inches because my cage is 30 inches. So it'd be 30 inches deep. But I really like these nesting boxes. It gives me access to them, and they're enclosed on all the sides. So the only hole in the whole thing is that door right there. So I usually use this cage as my first time does. So all these does that are in here now, they're my first time does. They do really well in here, and they usually, like the first litter, like once they kind of get the ropes of things, then they usually do really well. So I usually put my first time does in these cages here and let them have like one chance where like everything's really easy for them, so they can kind of get the ropes. And then after that, I move them into just a normal wire cage and just do nesting boxes in there. Okay, let's move on to the next cage. Okay, we'll just briefly go over this cage here. I've put a lot of money into this thing. I mean, even when wood wasn't that expensive, I was like $270 in wood in this thing. So it's kind of, so that other wood cage I showed you before, where it's 2 feet by 8 feet, this is just another version of it, basically, but it's 2 of those on top of each other. But I've got a metal tin roof over top of it to protect it, but I haven't used this cage in a while. So you see here on the front, I built nesting boxes, but this lip here, so the rabbits poop down, and then all this stuff falls down into that and falls down in the feeder. So I need to come up with a better way to have that, because I need to build this out more so it protects these bottom two, because all of this rabbit stuff just rolls right down into the top rabbits roll right down into the bottom two cages. But the bottom two cages, I did really good on these. I mean, I made the nesting box is really tall. It didn't really need to be 2 feet tall, but it's 2 feet tall. And then it's just got a normal cage, not really a normal size, but it's probably about 30 inches by, so it's 30 inches by 2 feet. And I haven't cleaned these ones out for a while because I haven't used them. The top, I took the top off this one because I needed it for somewhere else, but I did have a top piece up here, so I haven't used these cages in a while. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this cage, if I'm going to keep it or not. I've spent a lot of freaking money and time building this thing. So it's 2 feet, so I got a nesting box here, but so I've got this feeder box here, so the feeder box is just on the door. The other thing I don't like is it's all wood, so as it gets wet, it corrodes. Like all my metal cages, they hold up a lot better. They're gonna last a lot longer, and they were like way cheaper. So wood's like really easy to do. Those metal cages are a lot, I don't want to say a lot more work. I mean, I'm putting them together pretty quick now that I've done a few of them. But like these wood cages, they require a lot of freaking work and time, and they take forever to put together. But they just don't last. Like you can see back here how they're pissing and pooping in the corners, and the wood's just rotting out. I mean, you can see this sheet of wood here that I've changed out, but then the one in the back's just a different color completely. This piece here in the middle, I just made it so this is one cage here from, let me back up so I can kind of show you. So this is one cage here to there, the door's missing off this one, and then this is another cage back over to there, and then a nesting box there. But what I've done is here in the middle, you can see that little slim piece of wood right there. I've made it so that pulls out, so then this can be one big long 8-foot cage, or it can be 2 little cages. And I've done the same thing there. You can see that blue strip down there. So I made it so it pulls out, so then it's one big cage or 2 separate cages. And I got the idea, so my last cage I'm going to show you here, that's where my pride and joy is this last cage back here. Alright, so this is my pride and joy. There's not a lot about this cage I don't like. I did really good. I've had a lot of time and a lot of effort into putting this one together. So on the top, I've got the tin covering the top, and I've got it sticking out about 18 inches. And then the cage, so it's just a wood frame. So then I've got a 2x4 front, but the whole thing is 20 feet by 41 inches wide. So it's 20 feet long by 40 inches.